So let's enter the arena, which is migration. Okay, so looking at the overall positioning of the islands, well, we see that this is faster to the wall, so that's one thing, or rather one part where the boats are not going to be coming through, but same is true on the left side for VNs, so definitely not some kind of advantage for either of the teams, as this is going to be the same on the right side and on the left. But what is different is, oh, actually not, it's not different, that's actually way true, so yeah, scratch that, no kind of difference. And well, definitely seems like so far as a reasonably safe, or rather fair placement of the islands. And the main island, looking at the mines, we see gold here and here, whereas on the right side there's just one. Looking at the minimap, more or less this one could be considered also for the VIKs. So overall I wouldn't really say there's any kind of disadvantage that would be game changing for either of the teams. So this is, well, decently spawned migration. And looking at the only possible problem could be this emptiness of the fishing spots at the bottom, but really looking at the corner, there are quite a lot of spots for the TL player to actually take advantage of. It shouldn't be really all that problematic, and if you are worried maybe if he builds a dog here, that could be a bit of a problem for him, but also quite a lot of spots, and I would say it's more or less equal to the amount of spots on the right side if Red happens to build his dogs around here as well. Obviously, there's a pretty bountiful part of the sea in the middle here, which is definitely something that Lavihet could be taken advantage of, or of the right side. So if she picks the bottom, she will be, yeah, kind of drawing the shortest straw, but not really by much, as I don't think it should be having any kind of significant effect on the early game. Winchester right now working to actually get the deer back into the TC, which is not listening at all. And looking at the civilizations, we have Winchester as Han, Warrior is Japanese, Lavihet is Viking, then we have for VN Heimdall as Viking, Milo as Prussians, and Horus as Japanese. So we have a switch between Prussians and Huns, which I kind of understand on migration. Prussians are usually pretty good here. So let's see what Winchester can do with this. He seems to be comfortable with the Huns, so I would be maybe expecting a pretty fast advance onto the mainland from VIK, so let's see about that. Looking otherwise at the mainlands, for example, some unsafe golds or stones, not much. I wouldn't really be considering this unsafe, even though in later, in like Castle Age and Imperial Age, this could be potentially targetable by galleons or whatever, but I don't really think that's going to be all that crucial, as really this gold is much more important. And double luring, wow, nicely working here, Winchester, but he is positioning quite, of course, an aggressive dog, and looking at the amount, actually huge amount of fish here, he's going to be quite happy about this spawn of the map for him. Looking at the bucket, Lavihet, she is going also for the luckier side on the right side. She's not going for the bottom, which is not really all that bountiful, even though not bad. But the top side is definitely more sweet for her, or rather sweeter for her, and I would be expecting extra dogs coming here as well. But maybe at least one could be coming to the bottom, obviously, so that she can as a pocket help either on the bottom side or on the top, depending where she is actually needed, as that's usually decided only after you advance into Feudal Age and have the fights. Well, another aggressive placement for Warrior, and definitely not thinking about some kind of defense. But I think that something. Oh yeah, I was just looking at the minimap and looking how he's grey. Actually didn't see it correctly, but he's also going for pretty much the same strategy and not picking any kind of placement of the dock like in the middle. But that usually happens when you want to either land fast or basically want to secure the strait here so that you can land even later. Because if you don't control the straits, you are in a bit of a problem because you will be having quite hard landing for yourself. Quite safe mines, but unfortunately positioned, I would have to say. As usually, you want some kind of room between them, because obviously this means that he will probably have to build 2 gold mines, or rather mining camps, sorry. As if it was just one square to the right, could have actually built just one. Could have saved a bit of wood for the extra boat, so yeah, that's not going to be an option for him, and he will probably have to go for extra gold mines or other mining camps so that he has a bit more efficiency when gathering. The next player to have a look at is going to be Heimdall, and he's definitely having a problem with the gold here. That's going to be all too easy to actually target even in the feudal age, and definitely not something that he would be happy about. The gold, or rather the stone, is safe, but he would definitely want to trade that for the gold, as this is definitely going to be a bit of a problem, or actually quite a lot of problem if the ends happen to be losing the water, as he will be losing even the income of the gold. So yeah, this is definitely something for VIKs to discover and sufficiently employ into their strategy. A nice positioning of the house here to actually know where the opponent is going. But the last one to have a look at is right now going to be Horus, with first players advancing into the feudal age, and that's going to be Warrior and Milo, which are Japanese and Persians. Okay, so not even those two Japanese are playing the same strategy. Looking how Milo is having 19 villages, Warrior 18. Okay, so that's one village extra for Milo, but one extra fishing boat for Warrior. So that's basically the same here. And otherwise, pretty much the same amount of villages. Just Winchester is heading for quite a lot of them. So he is definitely hoping for a stronger echo, and I would be thinking advancing through Castle Age faster than his opponents, and that's definitely going to be, well, not the good news for Horus, who seems to be actually maybe going for the same strategy, but he's kind of behind right now, switching into the feudal age, so with 24 villages, so not going for the same strategy, and we'll see if they will be going for feudal age or rather for castle age as well. So far, I'm not exactly sure. Gold, well, it's definitely better than this nonsense for Heimdall, but also going to be having a bit of a problems because this cove could be a bit problematic for him, as definitely those fillies on the left side, or rather on the right side, will be under fire from galleys if he happens to be losing water. No problem with the stone though, so let's see where the extra docks are coming in. So definitely more for Winchester onto the attacking side. He doesn't need to build anything at the back, quite obviously. Lavihead has built one in the middle here, on the bottom side of her island, exactly to help her teammate if she needs to. Otherwise, one in the middle, basically trying to make sure that she controls the strait and can land as fast as she can. But that's going to be just probably it for the time being. And looking otherwise on her island, quite a lot of food, so I don't expect any kind of problems for her in the early game. 3 dogs from Yellow is already fighting his first battle with the Grey player, Vian Milo. And he definitely should be retreating as he is, because he needs all the extra ships that he can, because he's fighting quite closer to his opponent's buildings, which means that the replenishments and reinforcements are going to be coming in quite a lot faster for Yellow Warrior. Second dock, third dock, 3 docks for Grey, all are in the offensive here. Already going for Blacksmith, so that's going to be just a pretty fast jump through Castle Age for him. 1 dock in here, 1 dock at the other side, and 1 in the, yeah, a bit of a front side of his island, so he's not really going for any kind of galleys so far. You can see that he's right now advancing into feudal age, which will just result into fast jump into castle, as basically it seems like won't be at all alone. So this is one feudal battle on the top side between Yellow and Grey, still going pretty strongly, and it almost seems like that Grey is actually having an upper hand. He seems to have advanced a bit faster than his opponent, which seems to be paying off a bit here. And if he plays this carefully, right now he's basically keeping his opponent next to his dogs. He could definitely be buying a lot of time for Heimdall, who could be nicely boomed and could be helping him on the side quite fast. At the bottom we see a bit of a movement from Green, who is going for a bit of a feudal aggression on the boats, on the water as well, and he's pumping quite a lot of them extras. Do we see the same attempts from Purple? Well, right now switching into Castle Age, which is exactly what we expected, which means that Green is definitely going to be having a hard time very soon and will be needing all the help that he can get, because once Winchester advances into the next age, which it seems like that's going to be, there's not going to be any kind of problem with that, because obviously Green won't be having the decisive advantage here, even though he will be having pretty good numbers. But if Winchester plays this correctly, which I have no reason to doubt, this is going to be, yeah, quite easy battle for him once he advances into the next stage. Yellow still kept in his base by Grey, who is, well, at this point I would say these are pretty much similar, with Heimdall switching into Castle Age as well. Right now he's as a pocket advancing, so yep, he will be definitely looking to help either of the allies. So far he's probably not sure which side it should be, and Winchester is right now basically trying to maybe uh, make Horus think that he's going or rather engaging in the full feudal age war, which is definitely not true right now. He's retreating, and possibly right now Horus should be recognizing that he's being lured into some kind of situation that he doesn't want to. Horus slowly but surely getting there, but he might be way too slow as opposed to Winchester, and Winchester could be reaping the benefits of his faster castle age, but still he needs to be retreating, basically saving the boats for himself, basically sacrificing the economy by proxy, because he needs to be running with absolutely everything. And hello, Heimdall is being, or rather Horus is being slung. Let's see, overall, Lavi Hat is slinging into whom? Into Warrior, okay. And Horus is being slung by Heimdall, okay, so that's interesting. It's probably not much strong slaying, because with Heimdall advancing into Castle Age, or was I looking at this wrong? I wasn't right. Heimdall was sending, and Horus is receiving, and Milo is receiving as well. And he's still advancing into the next stage. Okay, he's advancing into the next stage because he's landing. And yeah, this is definitely a pretty good idea, as he will be building his town centers pretty soon due to the Castle Age. And well, he will be aiming basically on the island before they own the water, which is pretty much a valid strategy, even though right now Warrior is going to basically own everything that is in his way, as Castle Age is coming in for Horus just now. But Warrior is also advancing into Castle Age, and even though he's fighting basically a very equal battle with Milo so far, this is going to turn around very soon. Because Milo is still in Feudal Age, he's not advancing, and even though he's being slung, he's still going to be way too late. Yeah, he's not even advancing, he's not even close to advancing. He's going to be way too late, and that's going to be, I would be saying, could be quite decisive moment in the game, at least for the water battle here. But I'm really liking what Teal is doing here. Right now going for stable, and he will be basically owning all that is coming in for, rather from the opponents. Very nice scouting by Heimdall, who is trying to see if the opponent is also landing. So far not happening, and I don't really see any kind of preparation for that either. So it really seems to me that the VIKs are taking it basically step by step. First they want to win on the water. You see reinforcements from Lavihat coming in at the bottom without even needing. And they might be just overcommitting on the water, even though they are leading on the score. Not really substantially, just some 80 points, but still they are, and they are going to be owning the water here. But I'm not really convinced that they can really overcome the advantage on the land that's going to be coming from Heimdall's early landing, because it's really early, and he will be basically owning all the gold mines that he can. Already see the town center coming in, and with the knights basically all around the island, he will be seeing where the opponents are coming, or rather where they are landing, and he will be disrupting any kind of attempt at building town center or literally anything, which is going to be quite problematic obviously for a VIK on this map. So yeah, that's a pretty nice idea, with purple having definitely upper hand here. Green just trying to save as many boats as he can, as he's right now researching war galleys, the same as Warrior, and even though Milo and Lavihat will be in the Castle Age at pretty much the same time, yep, this is the correct time for Warrior to go into the offensive, as he will be having quite a lot of minutes with advantage of the war galleys. So let's see if he can properly make that useful, or rather make use of it. Probably won't be having enough time because he's just now engaging, which means that Castle Age will be coming in for Milo just in the correct time, and it's going to be like 1 minute before the war galleys are coming in for the grey player as well. We have a water battle between some normal galleys from Lavihet. He's right now going for war galleys, and quite a lot of boats, because Horus has played this quite well. He has saved all the galleys, and right now with the war galleys being quite numerous, he's forcing his opponent Winchester to retreat from what is happening here. We have seen also a landing from red player. See some scouting here coming on, rather going on. And where is she having her main base? At the bottom. Okay, so she's basically aiming to own this part of the octopus, or yeah, it looks like octopus, this kind of island, and she will be probably hoping for a town center next to this gold, which is quite big, and it will be very important for, or rather very important source of gold income for the minutes to come. This dog placement is also pretty important, because it's basically to help Winchester on the left side to win as much as you can. Yeah, we had together with Winchester having a pretty huge fleet. And do we see anything going on from purple or other teal? No, we don't. So that's basically just a full-on boom and attempt to on the land as much as he can, which is, I think, definitely a better idea than going full on the water as VIKs are right now going. So as I'm not exactly sure how they plan to go for the land once it is already taken. So far they are not aware though, I'm kinda thinking, so they are just in the blind so far. Let's have a look at the top where the battle is raging between Warrior and Mile, and I would have to say that it's pretty much equal, and with the reinforcements coming in yet again closer, due to the buildings being closer right now to Mile, as opposed to Warrior in the very early game in the field age, this is going to be the advantage for him, and I'm kinda thinking that Warrior should be thinking twice before taking this kind of engagement, as even though he seems to be slightly winning, he will just wear him down. Milo will just wear him down because he's a bit reinforcements all that closer here, and yeah, this is going to be no. Warrior still not giving up, but he is, in my opinion, he's fighting a losing battle, even though he's sending as many reinforcements as he can. But it's not really working. But on the bottom side, this is definitely working, because this is full-on double, 2 versus 1, without any kind of chance for Horus to fight against this, because he's not having any kind of help from his ally Heimdall, who is just booming and going for the mainland. Nicely booming here with 62 villages, which is definitely by far, by very far the most. That's like a third more than all the rest. Getting trying to engage right now, but this is just a question of time before his army is also leveled, and it's basically Horus's, or rather Horus' rather quest right now is to buy as much time as he can to Heimdall, so that Heimdall can somehow control the mainland as best as he can. VIK is working on it quite slowly from the bottom, with Monastery, which is definitely a good idea against Knights, as she has scouted what's happening here, and with Winchester also landed quite strongly, coming as a Han, quite obviously, for all the stables and the Knights, and also Imperial Age, so that means Cavaliers and Paladins very soon. We will be seeing quite interesting situation, because we have two guys from VIKs right now landing on the mainland, whereas just Heimdall from the ends. So let's see if this commitment to the water, with Horus still going for it quite strongly, and basically, well, this is slightly interesting. It almost seems to me that Winchester is right now going for a raiding, and it's developing a bit of a battle between VIK and Horus, with Winchester more concentrating on the land right now. He's going for the town center and building quite a lot of lines here, with Heimdall just now discovering him due to the villager right now. But right now he knows that he's in a bit of a trouble, because obviously all those Knights from Winchester are going to be wreaking havoc in the economy that he has established on the left side, but he's also switching into barracks, and look at how he's Viking is going to be pretty good infantry, which should basically make up for the disadvantage of having to fight against all those Knights. VIK has been forced to retreat because Horus is still going full on the water, having pretty good numbers, whereas Winchester is not really converging with VIK, but once that happens, that's going to be it. And looking at the top, we see a bit of a surprise situation, because we have left it at a moment where Milos seemed to be actually having an upper hand, but somehow we managed to lose it, and oh well, demo ship coming into play here. Well, is that going to be correct? I think he should be more going. Yeah, 1 for 1. He should be going for a bit more, maybe fire ships. That would be basically disrupting what's happening here. But look at how well a warrior is playing on the water. This is definitely aiming for a kind of convincing win. The naval battle for VIKs, but they will still have quite a lot of work to do against Heimdall on the mainland. We still don't see any kind of extra landing. Finally, right now we see from Horus, who is basically recognizing that definitely there's not much point of delaying the inevitable, and that's basically abandoning the water, because there's not much they can do about it. But, well, fortunately for Heimdall, who's right now going to be losing precious pikemen to the fire from those gallons. Rather war galleys yet. But, yeah, pretty important, and VIK is going to lose those villagers, which is definitely something she did not want, as she was sending them here for, I don't know, maybe some military buildings to help fight against all those pikemen, but so far that's not going to happen. Pretty nice raiding on the mainland by Winchester, who is right now stopping a pretty crucial town center, and well, 94%. Wow, that's a clutch one. That's a pretty clutch one, and this is town center from whom? Looking at the minimap, it seems to be grey. Is it grey? Yeah, it is grey. It is grey, so that was a landing from Milo, which is, oh well, this is pretty important part of the game, because this was Mart landing, and he has lost quite a lot of villagers here, like at least 7 villages, which is quite deadly for him at this stage of the game, and especially that he wasn't able to establish his landing, which is quite problematic, as right now, with yellow basically owning the strait here, well, owning, he is still having some work to do, because Milo is doing as much as he can, but looking how he is having some boats in the middle, it's probably going to prevent any kind of landing from teal, or rather grey, from now on, and well, yeah, this might come back to bite VNs quite strongly indeed. At the bottom, Lavihet is right now having galleons, as she is going to be basically wrecking the economy on the water from Heimdall, who is advancing into Imperial Age. And well, looking how he's actually the first one from the ends, that's not really boding all that well for Vikingos Nomadas, because Vix and the Berserkers are already having 2 players, and that's Winchester together with Lavihet in the Imperial Age, and well, they will be raining fire and damage, any kind of damage on their opponents as soon as possible. Cavalry archer switch, that's quite important, or rather interesting for Winchester, who is caught off guard here because he's fighting with just 1 cavalry archer against this onslaught of pikemen. Yeah, well, that's not going to work out for you, but this castle is going to be quite important as it's covering both the gold and basically even the stone here, so that's pretty important stage of this island, and Heimdall is basically owning half of it just for himself, so it's a pretty good job. Interesting switch from Winchester, who is trying to basically outmaneuver his opponent with heavy cavalry archers, trying to kill all those pikemen. Well, let's see how they can actually deal with this. Right now, Green is still having quite a decent amount of naval army at the top. He was basically just saving for, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what, but look at how Winchester is basically giving up on the water altogether. He's not having anything. With Lavihet basically owning the water as much as she can. Yeah, this is going to be quite a straightforward battle, especially with the reinforcements that are coming in from Lavihet if she needs to, and she probably will, but even, yeah, she doesn't really need to, but she will probably send them just to be sure. But looking somewhere else, this castle is pretty important because it's protecting the gold, which we were talking about exactly at the start of the game, that it might be problematic if they lose the water, which they did, and if he didn't protect it with the castle, it would be definitely under fire, and yeah, it wouldn't be his to be gathered from for the next minutes of the game. Yeah, Yellow doing a pretty nice stranglehold on his opponent. And it seems like that Grey is basically at 33 villages, and he still wasn't able to finish his landing. And has he landed somewhere else? Oh yeah, he finally has. Somehow he has made his way through. Even amongst all those boats, he has found his way through, which is quite powerful and very important for him at this stage, because he is at least going to be able to help his teammate Heimdall on the mainland and maybe even establish himself here as well. Right now it's basically up to Heimdall if he can somehow do something about this, and since he's very nicely boomed with 109 villages, which is by 30 more than the best from X, that's Winchester, that's a huge difference, and it's definitely getting noticed right now, because all those upgrades together with a huge amount of armies, he's right now at how many? 143 population limit. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. That's similar to Winchester, even more than that. And look at how he's... Oh, well. I was going to say that he's having actually pretty much a direct counter, but that's not really true, because the amount of cavalry archers from Winchester are pretty great. It's pretty great, and if this castle is going to be finished, I'm thinking that this is going to be it for the advance of Heimdall, even though this castle drop is pretty powerful and will be up quite a lot. We see some GGs here, and yeah, it seems like the PNs are actually recognizing that, or rather thinking that they can't really turn this game around, which is slightly curious, because I would be thinking that Heimdall is very nicely positioned and would be on his way in, but looking how Warrior is also quite successfully landed, and Milo was denied the landing some minutes ago. Yeah, it seems like there's really not much time for VNs to actually close the game before it would get out of their control, because, yeah, right now we could be saying that Heimdall is having an advantage against Winchester, but looking how Lavihet is also successfully landed, and Yellow as well, probably wasn't all that much of a chance for VNs to somehow clinch the island, even though the early landing was pretty powerful for Heimdall. Okay, so that was quite interesting game, and well, definitely different strategies from both teams, and it seems like that VIX executed a lot better than their opponents, Vikingos Nomadas. So looking at the achievements here. We had as a pocket, yeah, that's usually what happens, but Winchester as on the left side, that's quite a good score, and he did play damn well. You don't really see the flank being basically on the same score as the pocket. It's usually not happening, especially when the pocket is basically untouched. But, well, that's some quite nice ratio, 105 against 57. But same really cannot be set against Heimdall, but that's basically influenced by the last battle where he was facing all those cavalry archers with, unfortunately, just the pikemen in there. And the numbers, well, once the archers reach critical mass, it's very hard to do with them something else than just pummel them with mangonels or onagers. Or then paladins, of course, which was something that he didn't have. Yep, pretty nice. Pretty nice sling in here from Lavihet into Winchester. Very fast advance into Castle Age from Winchester. Quite a lot faster even than Heimdall. Was also the one who was jumping Castle Age pretty soon. Well, well played then. GG.